Okay, this week I'm going to explain what's going on when I take this solution of hydrogen peroxide and I mix some yeast in it. I take this lid with a small hole in it and put this pasta over the hole and then light the noodle on fire. We're going to see what happens with that. So I'm going to put in some yeast. I'm going to try to put a pretty tight seal on this. Shake that around a little bit, okay. So you can see some bubbles starting to form. All right, well, while we're trying to see if we can get this to start working, oh, there we go. Okay, so what's happening here is see some bubbles down here with the yeast and hydrogen peroxide solution. So what's happening is the hydrogen peroxide and yeast are being mixed together to create oxygen and water, or O2 and H2O. The yeast is what is helping to remove the O2 from the hydrogen to create these bubbles. And the hole that I've put in the middle of this is to direct all of the O2 out through one direction, and that's why I put the seal down so it can be contained in this little area. So in this experiment as well, the pasta is what we would consider our fuel. So when I put it over the hole, all the oxygen is going through the center of this noodle, pushing. So when I light it on fire, you saw it for a little bit, not for very long, but the fire was just going straight up as if it was a candle. So in this reaction, the temperature is increasing due to the yeast and hydrogen reacting together. So also, as I explained, since the noodle is our fuel, it would also be one of our limiting reagents. But in this particular reaction, we actually have two limiting reagents. So the hydrogen peroxide and the noodle are going to be those two limiting reactants. We know this because if we were to make it work a little bit better, this noodle would eventually burn down all the way, and if we don't have any more fuel, we won't be able to make the reaction occur anymore. But also the hydrogen peroxide is, if I were to add more hydrogen peroxide to this, more oxygen is going to be created, because this was being used up in this. Since the yeast is pulling the oxygen out of the hydrogen peroxide, it's breaking down the hydrogen peroxide to make this happen, so the hydrogen peroxide is being turned into gas. So this probably would have worked a little bit better if I would have had ziti, but I figured I could use this penne pasta if I just cut out one end and made it half, made it flat on this end. but having to hold it there probably didn't have it super enclosed around that hole. So next time I'll just try to use the ZD and see if we can get more of the candle-like reaction.